Welcome back, MMA fans. My name is Eric from Primal MMA, and today we bring to you a brand new video about the upcoming clash between Marvin Vettori and Israel Adesanya. A rematch between the current UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya and the number 3 middleweight contender Marvin Vettori is coming. It will be an intriguing fight, as the champion will enter the cage on the back of his first MMA loss. However, he is still the belt holder, as he suffered a defeat at light heavyweight. Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori first clashed in 2018 at UFC on Fox 29. Adesanya outlasted Vettori, defeating the Italian Dream via split decision, 29-28, 28-29, and 29-28. The victory marked the first career decision win for the last style bender. Subsequently, Israel Adesanya went on to capture the undisputed gold strap in the 185-pound bracket, while Marvin Vettori stacked up 5 consecutive victories. In his last UFC outing, number 3 ranked Vettori made a strong case for another shot at Adesanya with a lopsided victory over up-and-comer Kevin Holland at UFC Vegas 23. Inspired by fellow African-born champion Kamaru Usman's recent title defense at UFC 261, Israel Adesanya has accepted the rematch proposition. At UFC 263, Adesanya and Vettori will lock horns once again. Only this time, the stakes are going to be much higher than their previous meeting. With the middleweight title being on the line, fans can expect a totally different outcome compared to Adesanya vs. Vettori 1. The enticing aspect of this fight will be that his opponent, Marvin Vettori, took him to the judges' scorecards in their first fight and suffered a split decision loss. Given that first fight and Adesanya's susceptibility to grappling exposed at UFC 259, fans have been curious about the location as they would want to be in the arena for this blockbuster. The split decision loss is the last time Vettori tasted defeat in the octagon. Since then, Vettori has continued to improve and mature in equal measure since then. Vettori quoted, "I feel like everything that I had was with way less direction and way less purpose behind it," he added. "You know, I had the ability and I have the skills, but they weren't as refined as they are now. And I understood so many things, you know? I mean, it's just normal. I never stopped training since that day, basically every day of my life, so it's obvious that I improved a lot. And I think I grew way more than he did, so I just can't wait, man." Adesanya's dreams of becoming a 2-weight world champion were crushed by Jan Blachowicz and his patented Polish power at UFC 259, as the light heavyweight kingpin utilized his significant size advantage to hand the Kiwi his first ever loss in MMA. Yet, Vettori believes as though the second could be imminent. "I can finish him. I would like to finish him," he concluded. On the other hand, UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya thinks he already has a mental edge over Marvin Vettori. Adesanya is set for the first rematch in his MMA career, but it's not against who everyone expected. Former middleweight champion Robert Whittaker, who Adesanya dethroned to capture the title at UFC 243, has since scored victories over Darren Till, Jared Cannonier, and Kelvin Gastelum, cementing his spot as the division's #1 contender. But Adesanya explains that Whittaker was actually his first choice, but the Reaper wasn't ready to compete on the June date that Adesanya pinpointed for his return. Adesanya quoted, "I wanted to fight Rob after I'd seen him with Kelvin," Adesanya said on his YouTube channel. "Marvin was like, I want to go in October. Rob was like, I want to go in September. I'm like, look, I'm going in June. Whoever wants it, step up." And yeah, the Italian stepped up, so kudos to him. Despite the marketed improvements that Vettori has made in his recent run, Adesanya thinks he already has him figured out. Kamaru Usman just gave him a little taste of what it's like when you already know the person, Adesanya said. "You know you have their number, and he's still holding on to that fucking single leg, like he's holding on to that loss. So proud of that loss. He's holding on to that loss better than his best wins, so I'm in his head, rent-free, camping." That being said, there are 3 such reasons why Israel Adesanya vs. Marvin Vettori 2 promises to be a completely different scrap. Number 3. Marvin Vettori has made significant breakthroughs since UFC on Fox 29. Despite being the betting underdog, Marvin Vettori has proved himself to be a force to be reckoned with in his last 5 bouts. Since his razor-thin split decision loss to Israel Adesanya, the 26-year-old has maintained an impressive undefeated streak. According to UFC stats, Marvin Vettori could only land 29%, 46 of 154 significant strikes against Israel Adesanya in 2018. The Italian fighter has clearly improved his striking game, which was evident in the Jack Hermansson bout at UFC Vegas 16. Vettori's striking accuracy leaped to 49%, 164 of 334 strikes against the Joker. Judging by a much more poised striking game, Vettori seems to have learned his lesson from his last octagon defeat. The southpaw fighter will likely not rush in with heavy combinations to eventually get countered by Israel Adesanya in the rematch. Number 2. Marvin Vettori can pick Kelvin Gastelum's brain for a solid game plan. Kelvin Gastelum fought Israel Adesanya for the interim middleweight championship at UFC 236 in 2019. The barn burner was loaded with fireworks, so much so that the fight was hailed as a Fight of the Year nominee by the promotion. Israel Adesanya faced tremendous adversity to overcome the unrelenting pressure from Gastelum. Although the Kiwi champion ultimately won the battle, Gastelum certainly displayed his never-say-die attitude inside the cage. The Mexican-hailing fighter landed 95 significant strikes and even rocked Adesanya with a flush left hook in the first round. Gastelum caught many of Adesanya's lancing body kicks and even threw a head kick of his own in round 4, which wobbled the Nigerian-born fighter. Forthcoming title challenger Marvin Vettori, who trains alongside Kelvin Gastelum at King's MMA, can certainly gain insights into evading Adesanya's counter-striking abilities. Number 1. Marvin Vettori is eager and more experienced to avenge his loss to Israel Adesanya. The build-up to UFC 263 has been an intense back and forth between Marvin Vettori and Israel Adesanya. Vettori is of the notion that MMA media has hyped the last stylebender way out of proportion. Vettori believes Adesanya is a one-dimensional fighter, possessing prowess in only a single facet of MMA, namely striking. Speaking to Combat MMA, Marvin Vettori blasted Israel Adesanya, expressing his eagerness to re-enter the cage and avenge his 2018 loss to the Kiwi champion. After what was a mad scramble to Marvin Vettori's first main event, the intense middleweight found himself in a back-and-forth affair with a top-5 middleweight Jack Hermansson, often with the upper hand. Vettori rocked Jack Hermansson early, and, in the end, the Italian Dream scored the biggest win of his career in a fight-of-the-night effort. Notorious for his intensity at all times, but particularly during a fight, Vettori said his first experience fighting 5 full rounds in the octagon unlocked a new level of calmness for him in the cage. "It's different," Vettori said. "I'm an animal. I'm a machine. Last time I was prepared, but I wasn't prepared to go 5 rounds. And I did go because I'm still prepared. And now I'm really prepared for 5 rounds. I'm a different animal." However, Israel Adesanya, -230, opens up as a meaningful betting favorite in his rematch against Marvin Vettori at +195. I hope you're just as excited as we are for this fight. How do you guys think this is going to play out? Let us know in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video, where we cover another up-and-coming fighter that you do not want to miss.